Climate change disproportionately affects vulnerable and marginalized populations in the Americas and the Caribbean, such as indigenous and tribal peoples, women, children, persons with disabilities, and older persons. The injustices and inequalities revealed by COVID-19 place the elderly, disabled, and chronically ill into higher risk categories. Climate change operates on a similar scale of injustice, and its effects will be felt more acutely by older persons. They are more likely to suffer even during disasters. For example, older people face difficulties reaching safety and are so more susceptible to climate-related events like air pollution, heat waves, disease outbreaks. Persons with disabilities and those who are chronically ill face similar challenges. By working together with governments, international and regional human rights agencies, civil society organizations on the ground, the Commission can prioritize these human rights and well-being of these groups and advocate for measures to ensure that everyone, regardless of their age, ability, or health status, are included in, for example, very simply, disaster planning and disaster response efforts. Another example of priority issue is the protection of indigenous and tribal populations from extractive industries and climate injustice. For instance, the Commission could investigate and provide recommendations to governments on how to support indigenous and tribal peoples. Directly connected is also the protection of human rights defenders. The Commission could advocate for measures to promote sustainable development, including the use of renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and forestry practices, not by itself, of course, but in concerted efforts with those that are already on the ground, governments and civil society organizations. Thank you also for this question, very important in the Americas in general. And I believe that through dialogue and advocacy, the Commission should continue to engage with governments in order to renew the consensus around the importance of human rights. This can involve engaging in constructive consultations and activities with government officials and with other government stakeholders. There are institutions that are operating in our countries that play a role in terms of transparency and accountability. The Supreme Audit institutions, for example. Another potential approach is focusing on preventative measures such as promoting education and awareness about human rights, and thereby strengthening institutions. Law enforcement institutions, for example, not only to protect and serve in general, but to specifically better protect human rights, but also strengthening institutions such as the judiciary, such as civil society organizations that deal specifically with human rights. By working collaboratively with other actors which are active on the ground, such as international agencies, the UN agencies, for example, regional cooperation mechanisms, integration bodies. I'm thinking of CARICOM, the Association of Caribbean States. This could include sharing information, coordinating efforts, which would avoid duplication of efforts on the one hand, and on the other hand, pooling resources to benefit and target specific interventions or vulnerable groups. Furthermore, explore partnerships with local civil society organizations and academic institutions that can provide valuable insights and perspectives, and back that up with research and monitoring and designing capacity building initiatives for example, law enforcement again, or government agents. Working with and within a network of different stakeholders can also lead to more effective advocacy and lobbying for policy changes that support human rights. So in my perspective, it's a concerted efforts of local, national, and international agencies and civil society on the ground. For very interesting topics. The topic that I would like to speak to is the first topic that speaks to weaknesses and strengthening the Commission. Over the course of 60 years, we have had one issue, I think, that is essential in terms of the Commission achieving its mandate. And that issue has to do with resources. As we grow in terms of actions in towards achieving the mandate as a commission, of course, resources would be one that becomes scarce, not only financial resources, but also resources, human resources. In that regard, I would like to also speak on the second weakness or challenge, better said, that the Commission is confronted with, which is the backlog. It has been discussed throughout this particular session, but very important. The backlog means not just an administrative backlog. The backlog is a delay in enjoyment of human rights by specific groups or persons or petitioners. So very essential. Another area in terms of challenges or improvement is the area of representation of all the regions. We have seen now that there is a call for a focus on the Caribbean. This is not just only a focus on a region, but it is the focus on human rights issues in a particular context. The third issue is the issue that, for me, deals with, or it's maybe the fourth issue in this case, in engagement of future generations of youth. What do I think is important and what can be done and what would I contribute if elected? It would mean to have these discussions that need to be held on resources, on funding, that dialogue with member states in terms of the mandate that there is and the workload that there is in dealing with that in an effective and efficient way. And that might be contributing additionally to what is the budget right now. Secondly, in terms of human rights, human resources, look at partnerships that are possible, alliances that are possible with institutions in the region, academic institutions. I'm thinking of universities in the Caribbean. I'm joining these issues because I don't think that they're independent from each other. They're independent, they're interdependent, which means that there are more academic institutions in the region, in the Caribbean, the University of the West Indies, the University of Suriname, that could play an important role in the work of the Commission, not only in terms of awareness, but also in terms of monitoring, in terms of designing targeted capacity building exercises. Same as the collaboration with international agencies that are active on the ground, civil society organizations that are active on the ground. In all these weaknesses that I have identified, I think concerted efforts, identifying partners and allies is a strategic move towards achieving our mandates in an effective and efficient way. Our ultimate goal is the fulfillment, is the full enjoyment of human rights of all in this hemisphere. The Commission has a mandate to promote human rights and the protection of human rights in the region. But that duty is on all of us, on states, on civil society, on international and regional organizations, and in order to speak of human rights, the future of human rights in the Americas and the region, and Americas and the Caribbean, we need to engage youth. It needs to be a concerted effort on all our parts. Thank you very much for this engagement, because I consider this a concerted effort. Thank you.